Okay. Disney has started, over the past few years, has been making horrible live-action remakes of their animated films, which really don't need to be done, but that's going to be a topic for a whole nother day. But along those lines, we were thinking of different stories that Disney hasn't done that they could do in live action instead of just remaking their animated films that are already perfect to begin with. Do you want to start with yours?
I will start with mine. The first suggestion I have is the Gilgamesh. Now, as with anything Disney touches, it's going to have to be scrubbed clean a bit. I mean, Gilgamesh was kind of a dick. He would go around and screw everyone's wives, and by screw I mean rape, and kill everyone's son. It was just because he could. He was just like a big, strong guy who could do that. So, I mean, what were they supposed to do? So maybe take that part out, and maybe take out a little bit of the homoerotic stuff between him and Enkidu. But I mean, it's a pretty cool It's a pretty cool story. At its core, it's about a guy who wants to find immortality, and it's got like a scene where he and Enkidu fight a monster, and it's got like gods and goddesses. One of the goddesses is a whore. Probably gonna have to scrub that part clean too. But okay. There's one part. I think I told you about it. I'm not sure. Where basically, so Enkidu was created by the gods, and I'm trying to go off memory because it's been a while since I read it. But Enkidu was created by the gods as kind of a counterbalance to Gilgamesh, basically, because Gilgamesh was just a giant douchebag. But Enkidu lived in the forest for some reason, and he was raised by the animals and everything. So, in order to get him to go back, Gilgamesh obviously had to trick him. So, a chick whose name I don't remember, it's been a while, tempts him by just laying down on the field and masturbating for him. And then he's like, ooh. And he goes and they bone, and then he becomes a man. And he's like no longer a wild animal. He's a human man. So maybe cut that part out for the Disney version. Yeah, maybe. Maybe you could just have it like he falls in love with her. Like, oh, how sweet. They fell in love at first sight.
But not because he saw her masturbating.
Well, obviously. It'd be like in all the other Disney films where they just see each other and for some reason they love each other. So yeah.
We shared one song and dance number together. Now we're in love. My first story is King Midas's Touch, or the Midas Touch.
The Golden Touch.
Yep, that Golden Touch. But it's a classic Greek story that a lot of people know about this king who has a very strong relationship with his daughter, and he wants the best for her. And because of this, he very quickly ends up becoming obsessed with gold because he wants to have, all the wealth in the world to give his daughter pretty much the world. And he's visited by this mysterious stranger who gives him the ability to turn everything into gold when he touches it or when it touches him. For example, there's a part in the story where he's having breakfast and he's trying to drink his milk, but when he touches the cup, it turns gold, and whenever the milk hits his tongue, it also turns to gold. But he also gets the idea to turn his daughter's garden into the flowers in his daughter's garden into gold, because his daughter really likes to pick flowers, and this upsets her. So when she goes to him and he tries to console her, he ends up accidentally turning himself into gold. And yeah, that's the basis.
Turning himself into gold.
Yeah, turning her into gold. I missed it.
That'd be a really short story.
And he died. The end. But he ends up accidentally turning her into gold, and that's when he realizes that he's made a huge mistake. And I figured that could be like maybe the first third of a movie, and the Disney could add more to it after that, like maybe make it about the king trying to find the stranger who gave him the power so he can ask him to take it back and turn everything back to normal. And you can make it like a sort of action adventure.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with like kind of doing like using the story as kind of a baseline and then working with it. I mean that's like that's kind of like the ending of the 2000 series Full Metal Alchemist first series, which was better than Brotherhood. Fight me. Fight. So I guess the next one I'm going to talk about is the Trung Sisters. So the Trung Sisters, I can't remember the exact they're not there years, but basically they lived in Vietnam, and that was whenever the Han Dynasty, I believe, had basically taken over northern Vietnam. And you can read two sides, the Vietnamese side and the Chinese side. The Vietnamese side said that there was a lot of cruelty on the path of the Chinese. The Chinese side, of course, does not say that. It says, well, we're pretty cool and dandy with you guys. So, bias there. Basically, I believe it was Chong Chok's husband. She's the elder sister. I believe it was her husband who was killed because he was, planning a revolt against the Chinese, basically. And so she was like, oh no, I'm gonna do it now. And so she and her sister, Me, they started a rebellion. And they didn't really take it seriously, rather, because they were women. But, they did pretty good. And they declared themselves queens of Vietnam and of certain parts of China. I'm very professional. I did such little research. But you know what? Whatever. It's a cool story. At the end, though, they die. By which I mean they commit suicide rather than, I guess, not give up. What's the word I'm looking for? Rather than be captured by the Chinese, because it was obviously they were going to lose, they committed suicide by drowning themselves. I mean, maybe cut out the suicide by drowning, maybe just kind of leave it with them kind of like an open-ended, hopeless kind of ending, like a cliffhanger, but not really a cliffhanger because, it ends with them dying. You maybe don't have to show the suicide, because I don't think Disney would be too keen on that. Probably not. But I think it's a cool story. Yeah. There we go. I'm gonna shut up now. Your turn.
Oh, she would keep laughing. My next one is called The Story it's called The Princess of Mt Ledang, or Ledang, or something like that.
I'd like you to mount my dong. There we go. I had to say it.
Say it. Pleasure.
No. It's not funny when you say it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's a folklore, or not folklore, but a folk tale from Malaysia. And it's about a king who finds out or learns about this princess living in this mountain called Mt Ledang or Ledang or whatever the hell it's called. I'm not Malaysian. I don't speak Malay, so forgive me. And when he goes and finds her, she makes him go through 7 impossible tasks because she knows that he won't be able to achieve them. And I figured Disney could, build from there. Kind of like with the Golden Touch story.
You're so half-assed.
I am.
Says the girl who didn't do any research on the Trung Sisters.
To hear the only research right into my story is reading the summary. Although I did listen to Straight Esther on audiobook, which it was spoiler.
Well, yeah, spoiler for future video. I read the stories. I didn't the history stuff. I just thought they'd make good movies. Okay. The third story I think would make a good film. It was kind of a toss-up between this one and one that's going to be mentioned in the future in my honorable mentions, but I decided to go with 0 Hour by Ray Bradbury. It's one of my favorite short stories, not my favorite, but it's one of my favorite short stories in the Illustrated Man. Excuse me. And basically, all the kids in the neighborhood are playing this game that involves Martians invading, and the parents are like, "Oh, how cute!" But turns out there actually is a Martian invading. One singular Martian invading. There's actually a Martian invasion, and the story. Well, I guess the story kind of ends with the parents, or the main character, who is the mother of one of the little girls called Mink, which is a fun name. She's not a Martian, but yeah. But anyway, so she runs up into the attic and brings her husband. She's like, "Oh my god, it's real!" And then the husband's like, "What, you freaking idiot?" She's like, "No, trust me." And then it ends where you can hear Mink calling. Well, you can't hear it because you can't hear the words, but you can imagine it in your brain that you can hear her. And she's like, "Mommy, Daddy, where are you?" And there's like this light coming through the door and these heavy footprints, and it's obviously the Martians. So I think that'd be really cool. A really cool movie. I think it'd be great. That one actually might work better as live action rather than animated.
I definitely see that.
Yeah, but I think it'd be a cool movie. So
you're learning what you're saying?
A little bit. It's my second favorite story from the book.
Mine too.
We are lame. We have no legs. As you can see in this video, we're just shoulders.
We're just chest, shoulders, necks, and heads. Okay. So my third story is a story from Hindu mythology called Vitra versus Indra. You see, in Hindu mythology, Indra is the king of all the gods, and he, like many other gods in many other mythologies, has power over thunder, lightning, and rain, I think. Like Thor and Zeus, the classic ones. But this is actually the story of how Indra became the king of the gods. In this story, Vitra, who is a demon, I think.
We're so professional.
Yep. He can shapeshift, and in the story, he shapeshifts into a huge, monstrous snake and steals all the water from the mortal world. And so Indra has mortal.
I thought you said Memorial World.
It's from the Memorial World, where the Memorial Mall is located.
Oh, it's like cool park.
But in the story, Indra has to battle against Vitra in order to return the water to the people. Mm-hmm. And like I said, this is the story of how Indra ended up becoming the king of the gods in Hindu mythology, pretty much. At least that was my understanding of it.
It's going to be a good movie. A really cool epic.
Yeah.
And I think it would work as either live action or animated.
I could see that working as both.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I almost forgot my fourth one.
You're a loser.
I know. But are we all? No, just me. That makes me special.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You're a special loser snowflake.
Yep. Okay, so my last, besides honorable mentions, is going to be Jeanne de Clisson for the Lioness of Brittany. And basically she's a lady pirate. So her husband did something or other in the 100 Years' War, and Disney's gonna have to do more research than we did. And he was held for ransom, and the king the king of France I think it was Philip VI, brought him back. But for some reason he thought he was a spy, and so or spy, or he was accused of something, and so he was beheaded. And there's another guy involved that kind of implemented him. So Jeanne de Clisson thought it was like foul play, and that's all the explanation you need. So she gets all pissed off, obviously, and she takes 2 of her 7 sons. By the way, she had like 7 sons, or was it 5? She had a shit ton of kids.
She was a very busy woman.
She was a very busy woman, and so she takes 2 of her sons with her to become pirates with her and like terrorize the English Channel, basically, and attack nobles. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Be a pretty cool movie. And I kind of, with the Trung Sisters and with Jeanne de Clisson, I kind of went with like a girl power kind of thing, because I figured the Disney princesses now are on this kick of, yeah, we don't need a man, awesome, even though they were on that kick since the 90s and people are like acting like it's new.
Yeah, it's not.
But whatever.
They think characters like Moana and Elsa are the new girl power, because even though the princesses in the 90s were also girl power, they still ended up falling in love.
Although I would say Moana isn't girl power just because, I mean, yes, she takes the initiative to go, but then she ends up having to rely upon Maui a lot. So
yeah.
And
but apparently, to these extreme leftists, all a Disney princess needs in order to be considered girl power is to not have no man.
I don't think even that's a leftist thing, because I think right-wing people fall into that too. I think it's people falling into a marketing gimmick, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's still pretty stupid either way.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that's why I thought these 2, well, 3 technically, figures, historical figures, I thought they would make good kind of Disney princess-y films. They're not princesses, although, I mean, the Trung Sisters did declare themselves queen. They died directly afterwards, but they declared themselves queen. So yeah.
It's good enough.
So I was thinking along those lines.
My last one is a story that a lot of people know, and it's a story from the Bible called The Story of Esther. And if you don't know the story of Esther, basically, let's see if I can. I'm gonna try to explain it without overcomplicating or confusing myself or anyone who might be watching.
And just to interrupt, I am going to have all of the stories and all the relevant information linked below. Yeah, just...
Right, so if we didn't explain it in a way you would understand, you could just go to the link and find out these stories for yourself, I guess.
Yeah, and plus, I recommend the Ray Bradbury stories that I mention in this video a lot, and the Hobbit, which I'll mention. Ha ha ha! Spoiler. Yeah.
I mention all of the stories I recommend all the stories I'm mentioning, because I do think they're pretty good. At least the concepts alone, because that's pretty much what I researched, was the summary and the concept.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm probably gonna read the actual stories myself.
I like how he didn't read them before making this video.
I read bits and parts, but I mostly just read like the summary. Then here's the story. Oh yeah. The story of Esther is about, Esther. It actually starts with the king of Babylon gets fed up with his wife when she doesn't appear at a party because he wanted to show her off, and so he's like, screw you, I'm gonna replace you and get a new wife. So he has all the other women in his kingdom throw him pretty much a beauty pageant, and that's where he meets Esther and decides to make her his wife. And of course, Esther's uncle is also a major part of the story, someone who works for the king and lives in the palace. I forget who it was, but he wanted to have Esther's uncle hung because he refused. Hanged.
Nazi to the rescue.
Why, thank you. Hired you. But he wants to have him hanged because he didn't bow to him or something like that. So Esther has to sort of stop this from happening, and throughout the story, she has to keep it. I'm just rocking back and forth like a crazy person.
I wasn't going to say anything.
She has to, Bible. She has to keep it a secret that she's a Jew, but at one point in the story, she has to reveal to her husband.
I had to interrupt, but you did this. I just realized that you were rocking back and forth with the cat mask on.
Wow, rock.
I don't know why, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't know.
But anyway,
okay, sorry.
So eventually she ends up having to reveal to her husband that she is a Jew in order to save her uncle's life. And that's the gist of the story, I believe. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Okay, so my honorable mentions, one is the Veldt by Ray Bradbury in the same storybook, in the same book, Illustrated Man. It's actually my first favorite story that's included in there. I like all the stories in there, but the Veldt is my favorite because it's so creepy. Of course. Basically, it's so this family moves into this. They've been living in it this entire time, but they're inside this house that does everything for you, literally everything. It wakes you up, bathes you, dresses you, feeds you, brushes your teeth, paints for you, just everything. So you don't even have to do anything. And in this house, there is a room that, whatever you imagine, becomes a landscape of the room. And the children happen to have been imagining Africa quite a bit. So much so that it's become very, very realistic. And this frightens the parents. They think, well, something's not right. Children are acting odd, to say the least. And so they decided it would be better if they shut off the nursery. It's called the nursery, by the way. If they would just shut it off, and then they even think that they should shut off the entire house and just live. Just do their own things, brush their own teeth and tie their own shoes and all that sort of thing. Children, however, do not like this, and it ends with the parents being eaten by the lions that have become real. Ooh. It's really, really cool. It's a great story. I'm not doing it justice, that's why I link these down below. Yes, that's how
we're doing very rare stories justice.
No, because we're rambling and we cannot keep on to, especially me. I say it like you're doing it. I'm the one doing it. Sorry. And my second honorable mention is really more wishful thinking. But damn it, I want a good Hobbit movie. And I'm not talking about Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings films. But I want a good Hobbit. I want a good Hobbit movie. Yeah, I think Jackson did the Hobbit films, but they were shit. They were shitty shit, mixed shit. I hated them. Mini rant, okay? I'll get this off my chest very, very quickly. But they tried to use the tone of the Lord of the Rings films in the Hobbit film, and the Hobbit is a completely different tone from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's a lot more lighthearted. And I think it would work better as an animated film. Because it's a children's story. It's lighthearted. Maybe if you did it right, it could be a live action film too. But please do it better. Like, why was there a romance scene between a dwarf and an elf? I didn't go to the theater to see that. I went to see a dragon. So yeah, it's more wishful thinking. It's one of those things where I want them to make a good Hobbit film, but I also don't want them to make another Hobbit film because I can't take my heart being trampled on again. So yeah. Do you have any honorable mentions?
I have two. My first one is, and this is also wishful thinking, but Disney should do a movie with me looking just like this, rocking back and forth just like this.
I would go to see that twice.
I know, people would pay big money for that. But in all seriousness, yeah. In all seriousness, I actually only have one honorable mention, and that is a story. It's a Japanese fairy tale called The Snow Woman And then it starts with this man and his father going, I think they're going to chop wood. And
is that a euphemism?
But they're going to chop wood, and they end up getting caught in a snowstorm or something. I can't remember because I only read the story once. But I liked it. That's why it's an honorable mention. Anywho, and as they're, trying to find shelter because I guess it's a long way from home or something.
I can't look at you and not laugh.
I'm a crazy woman. But, sorry. They find this empty cottage, and then it turns out that this winter, I guess the winter is caused by this deity, I guess?
I always thought she was a spirit.
Snow spirit, deity, whatever. She's probably a spirit. But she ends up going into the cottage while they're sleeping, and she kills the old man because apparently she decided it was his time to go. But the main character ends up kind of halfway waking up, so he's still somewhat asleep, and he sees her, but he thinks that he's dreaming. And she tells him, don't tell anyone that you saw me or that you met me, or you'll pay for it. And, a year after the father died, the man met a woman, and they quickly fell in love, and had 5 kids together.
Hey, just like Jeanne de Clisson.
Exactly. They were also very busy people. And, eventually it's revealed that his wife is acting very strange. She's full of, energy and life during the winter, but during the summer she's very weak and doesn't go outside at all.
That's not suspicious in the least.
Of course not. But, he ends up accidentally letting it slip because when, he ends up having a conversation with her one day and ends up letting it accidentally slip that he met the snow, we'll call her the snow woman, because that's what the title calls her. And then his wife reveals that dun dun dun, that was actually her, and she was like, I ought to kill you for not keeping your promise, but I can't, do that to the kids, so I'll just leave, and she leaves. Once again, this is one of those stories, like my other 3, where, you could have that be the first third, and then maybe build off of there and do something with that.
I would also, if I were to make a film of that, I would also tweak it a little bit and not make the guy so freaking retarded. I would probably make him, instead of just going, man, let me tell you about this crazy dream I had, instead have him kind of remember it on his own and be like, well, this is kind of odd, and start to notice things like how she doesn't go outside in the summer, how she's weaker, and then kind of, I guess try to ask her more. So basically be a bit more forward and seem as though he's not as dull as a stack of bricks.
Yeah, because he's, I don't know. But yeah, I agree with that. And like I said, Disney can easily build off from there.
Yeah.
And that's it for me.
It is still bizarre that he wasn't really, really pissed off at her for killing his father. Like, maybe the Disney version should focus more on like the inner turmoil of,
you know what,
I killed my father, but I love you.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Actually, there's that, like, on the one hand, this is the being that murdered my father in his sleep. But on the other hand, this is the woman I love and the mother of my children.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's an interesting story. Okay. Well, I don't know how to end videos, so let's just wave. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.